Well, days after Hurricanes Helene and Milton hit Florida, the recovery is still slow in some areas. Debris piled up, choking some streets as a shortage of crews and trucks created a backlog. There's ongoing flooding in Pasco and Hernando counties, also in Seffner and Valrico in eastern Hillsborough County, and Lakeland, where residents say the city pumping system failed to protect them from storm water and sewage.
We have nowhere to live, and you guys are our only lifeline.
Our home's completely ruined. Completely ruined. It's uninhabitable.
So, Bob, the first question is our stormwater protection infrastructure strong enough for the threat that we're facing in the future, and can we build it strong enough?
You know, I think the short answer is we could spend all the money that we had and not fix the problem. I mean, I think we're dealing with the fact that this was a 100-year storm. I think we are desperately in need of infrastructure investment in many of our cities. The pipes in the stormwater system is literally 100 years old. But a storm of this magnitude, and given the topography of where we live, it would have been impossible to stop, in many cases, what has occurred. Now, we've been making investments in Tampa for probably the last decade. We've made significant financial investments that have made a difference. Are we there yet? Not even close. Are there issues that occurred during this past storm, whether it was generator failures or pump failures on retention ponds, that could have been prevented? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think in Forest Hills and some of the university area, that could have been prevented. I think it will be fixed. But we need to understand that all the money in the world is not going to storm-proof this community.
So what's the answer? If we can't...
I think the answer is incrementally, you start making the improvements that you can to the existing system, you upgrade it, you add to it. But at the end of the day, we've got to build a more resilient community. We've got to look at building codes and how they are applied in flood-prone areas. We've got to make sure that those who live in those floodplain areas pay the appropriate insurance to compensate for this, but to recognize that it's not going to solve the problem.
So, Craig, is this the new normal because of climate change? And can we build what do you think? Can we build our way out of it?
Well, I'm not convinced it's a 100-year storm. It may have been 100 years ago, but with the accelerating effects of climate change, it could be a 5, 10, maybe a 2-year storm for all we know. And it's not just that the stormwater infrastructure is aging. It certainly is. It also was not engineered in the first place to handle more than 7.5 inches of rain a day. You combine that with the more intense rains and storms that we were seeing going well before the hurricanes to June, in fact, of this year. And then you combine that with the fact that we have outdated flood maps in many parts of Florida and elsewhere from FEMA, so people may not know they need flood insurance until it's too late. And those who do have flood insurance are getting heavily subsidized coverage to build and then rebuild and then rebuild again. It's a confluence of problems that you have to take one bite at each one of them in order to move forward.
A lot of people are rebuilding their houses right in the same spot. You said the FEMA maps are out of date. I mean, you can't trust the FEMA maps these days because they are out of date. Should we be rebuilding in the same spot?
Well, that's a question that Congress is going to have to tackle on December 20th when you have a lapse in the National Flood Insurance Program. So the administration currently has proposed changes that include means testing of the cost that you pay for flood insurance, but also disqualifying people who have more than 3 losses of at least $10,000. Well, think about that, though, for a minute. You've had 3 storms this year in Debbie, Helene, and Milton. You have a lot of people in Florida who may already have exhausted that. So it is very complicated, but it's also a very big problem.
So, Rob, I agree with Craig and the mayor. I think we have to have a comprehensive look regionally at infrastructure, just like we did with water. The mayor probably remembers that better than anybody else. We took a regional approach to water because Jeb Bush and some other folks, Buckhorn, some other folks were saying the next natural disaster is going to be turning your tap on, there's going to be no water. We're going to have to look at an infrastructure system that works totally for the region. And we're going to have to look at how we store water. And that happens overseas in Holland and in some other places. We're going to have to look worldwide to solve our local issue.
Item number 1 for the legislature when it meets in next year?
I think it could be. It should be. It should be definitely one of the issues that is a top priority.
But Rob, you cannot place the burden on municipalities to cover the entire cost because we just don't have it.
It's too expensive.
I mean, we spent $200 million when I was there retrofitting the stormwater system in South Tampa. Mayor Castor probably spent another $500 million. We made progress. I can't even imagine what South Tampa would have looked like had we not done that. But it's expensive, and we need federal investment into infrastructure, which is exactly what President Biden did, but we're still a long way from reaching our goal.